All right, today we're going to go ahead and get into section 2.2. Today we'll be looking at the second type of transformation, reflections. Okay, we did translations first. Today we'll look at reflections, and then you'll notice it also says something about compositions. That we'll do after we do the reflections. So our focus today is on a reflection. All right, today we will learn about our reflection. All right, so a reflection is where is a flip or reflect across a line. All right, so the point will reflect across. So for example, if it says to reflect this point right here that they give us over this line of x equals -1, and remember x equals -1 is a vertical line, so they have our line that they've given us in this picture. Here's our reflection line. All right, in order to reflect it, what we do is we count the point, how far it is away from the line, and then we count to the other side. So for example, if I'm at this purple point, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 to the red line. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 to the right. I'm going to make a new dot, and that is my new point. All right, so it's going to be key that we get our reflection line in the correct spot so that we can go ahead and reflect it in the right spot. All right, now recall, on our coordinate plane, our x-axis runs horizontal, and our y-axis runs vertical. All right, so when we go to graph these, it's important that if it says the x-axis, then we're flipping it over the x, which runs horizontal. If it says flip it over the y-axis, we're flipping it over the vertical. All right, now remember, if it's x equals a number, our line should run straight up and down, our reflection line. If it's y equals a number, remember that becomes a horizontal line and runs through the y-axis. All right, so again, we have to draw our reflection line correctly first, and then we simply count how far we are from that point or that line. All right, so let's try one where we have a figure. It says reflect triangle ABC over x equals 1. All right, what we're going to do is reflect it, and then we're going to be responsible for listing the new coordinates of A prime, B prime, and C prime of our new figure after we flipped it. All right, so again, x equals 1 is a vertical line, so I'm going to go through the x-axis at 1, and I'm going to highlight my vertical line first. All right, that's our reflection line, so we have to go ahead and reflect this triangle over it. Okay, so if we look at A first, let's count how far A is from our red reflected line. 1, 2, 3, 4 to get there, so 1, 2, 3, 4 to the right, and this is our new point, A prime. All right, I can list that coordinate right now. If I go back to the coordinate plane and list how to get there, I would go right 5, up 3, so my new point for A prime is 5, 3. All right, let's do B now. B is 1, 2, 3, 4 away from the line, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. This is B prime. All right, to get to that coordinate, we'd go back to 0, 0, and I'd have to go right 5, positive 5, and then down 2, so -2. There's our new coordinate for B. All right, our last one is coordinate C, so let's count how far we are to our red reflected line. 1, 2. Let's go 1, 2 to the right. Let's call it C prime. All right, that coordinate would be right 3, down 2, so our ordered pair is 3, -2. If I connect the triangle, you'll notice that it flipped. Okay. All right, let's try another one. Reflect triangle ABC over the y-axis. All right, now it's not always going to be labeled x and y, but they're nice on this graph, and they did put the y up by it, but remember the y-axis runs vertical right here. All right, again, our goal is to flip this and list the new points A prime, B prime, and C prime. All right, so let's do A. We're going to count to the line. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There is our A prime. To get to that point, I would go right 3, up 3. So my coordinate for A prime is 3, comma 3. All right, let's do B. B is 1, 2, 3 away from the line. 1, 2, 3 away to the other side is B prime. All right, those coordinates would be right 3, down 2, so we're at 3, negative 2. All right, our last one, point C, notice it's 1 away, so I'm going to go 1 over. That is C prime. C prime is at over 1, down 2. We can connect it now and form our triangle, and you'll notice our triangle flipped. All right, let's keep going. Now, occasionally our reflection line might go through the picture. All right, so if it goes through the picture, we're going to have to look at how we have to flip it. All right, so reflect triangle ABC over y equals negative 1. Remember, y equals negative 1 is a horizontal line through the point negative 1 on the y-axis. So there's my reflection line. You'll notice some points in my triangle are above it and some points are below it. So here's the deal. It's going to flip to its opposite location. So if I'm above the line, I'm going to flip below it. If I'm below the line, I'm going to flip above it. So this picture is going to get a little confusing because it's going to land on top of each other when we flip it. So A is above the line, so I'm going to count down to the red line. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to count down below it 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So A flipped from the top down here to the bottom. And remember, our goal is to list A prime, B prime, and C prime. Well, if I list A prime, I would have to go left 3 and down 5. Left 3 is negative, down 5 is negative. All right, now you'll notice B and C are below the line, so they're going to flip above the line. So if I count B to the red line, I go up 1, so I'm going to go up 1, and I'm going to call it B prime, and you'll notice it lands on the picture, which is fine. That coordinate right there is at negative 3, 0. All right, your last one is C. C is 1 below the line, so I'm going to count 1 up and then 1 up above it, C prime. All right, notice that point is at negative 1, 0. Again, if I connect my triangle, it flipped upside down on top of itself. Okay. Very similar to what we did on the last one. All right, this time it wants us to reflect over the x-axis. There's our x-axis right there. So again, if I'm above the line, I'm going to flip below it. If I'm below the line, I'm going to flip above it. So let's take A and count to our blue line. 1, 2, 3. Let's go down 1, 2, 3, and let's call it A prime. We are going to be responsible for listing the new coordinates of A prime, B prime, and C prime. Well, A prime would be left 3, down 3, so that's negative 3, negative 3. All right, let's do B and then C. B is 1, 2 below the blue line, so let's go 1, 2 up, and B is going to fall right there. Well, that's left 3, up 2. All right, our last point is C. C is 1, 2 below, so we're going to go 1, 2 above, and I'm going to call it C prime. That's left 1, up 2, so negative 1, comma 2. Connect our picture, and you'll notice again the triangle flipped on top of itself. Now, one thing we didn't talk about that we should look at is that real quick, let's say I said reflect it, and I'm going to use this picture, so I'm going to erase it, and I just want to look at one thing real quick that we haven't talked about. If your reflection line ever lands right on a point, so let's say this was our reflection line. Notice C is on the reflection line. When I go to flip this figure over, B would be 1, 2, 1, 2 away, so that would be B. A would be 1, 2, 1, 2 away, that would be A. C is on the reflection line, so it would not move, so C would stay right there. and our triangle would flip and stay on the reflection line. All right, so if the reflection line actually hits the point, or if the point's on the reflection line, it technically doesn't move, okay? I know that's kind of gibber. We'll go through that some more in class, but that's just something we wanted to mention briefly before we move on to the last part. All right, the last part is, can you come up with the reflection line? All right, so they want us to come up with what was this figure reflected over. So I noticed that it flipped from left to right. So if I were to draw a line to make this reflection, it would be right here, because you'll notice that C is 1 away, C prime is 1 away. B is 1, 2, 3 away, B prime is 1, 2, 3 away. A is 1, 2, 3 away, A prime is 1, 2, 3 away. So that line right there, the y-axis, would have to be where we drew our reflection line to make that figure flip. All right, so you're trying to draw a line and then write whether it's the y-axis, the x-axis, x equals a number, or y equals a number. All right, here's a case. Here's a case where the C did not move. All right, so we got to figure out where's our reflection line. Well, it looks like it was flipped right over this line right here. That is a vertical line, and we went through -1. Remember, if it's a vertical line and we go through a number, it's x equals, because we ran through the x-axis. X went through at -1, so our equation of our reflection line is x equals -1. All right, that brings us to the end of reflections. Again, highlight your line, count how far away, and then flip the figure over it. All right, we'll look at compositions next, but for right now, we're going to do some practice with reflections.